This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
It is the After Party live on a Hide in Your Cave Monday, and I'm glad you're here. Thank you for your patience. And there was a lot of discussion after the Mark Thompson show about what a neon light should say. I think whoever said the logo of the Mark Thompson show, I think that's kind of what we narrowed it down to in our little post-show hoop-de-doo today, which took entirely too long. So thank you for being here and for your patience and everything else. I hope you had fun chatting in the chit-chat and hanging out. Thank you to everyone who supports this show. I'm remiss in saying it because I kind of get into the stories once we dig in. And so I do want to thank the people that keep this show on the air. It's crowdfunded, as are all these YouTube shows. So huge thank you to Wes for throwing in another $5 today. Amy P., your recurring monthly PayPal payment came through. Also, Meredith D., Marilyn G. Thank you guys so much for crowdfunding this show, and also for sending me all the great messages. I get so many good messages from you guys. One of the ones I got via party mail, Kim at the afterparty.live, over the weekend came from Jane O., who wanted me to remind everyone about the radio garden. I had heard about this a while back and spent way too long clicking around on a map of the world that has radio stations, and you can click on one and hear what they're hearing in certain parts of the world. So if you haven't checked out the radio garden, please do. It's really fun and an interesting way to kind of travel from your home. So if you didn't know about that, I wanted to make sure you do. Now you do. Let's get into some of the stories that we have for today, including the new UNESCO World Heritage Sites. There are some castles that just made it onto the heritage list of the most important places and the places that we need to protect in the world. 4 of them in the area of Germany, Bavaria, including this one, the Neuschwanstein Castle, which is hard to believe that this wasn't already a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but it is one of 4 castles in Bavaria to make this new list of UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The castles of Neuschwanstein, Linderhof, here's the one, the Linderhof Castle. You can see it there. Linderhof is on the list, as well as the Schachen and Herrenchiemsee. They've all been added to this very prestigious list, which now has more than 1,200 sites. But Neuschwanstein, pretty popular. Hard to imagine that that's not been on the list until now, right? It's located near the village of Schwangau in Bavaria, and it's really one of the most popular tourist sites in this area every year. About 1.5 million travelers visit Neuschwanstein Castle every year. And it's said to be the inspiration for Walt Disney's Sleeping Beauty Castle. If you're ever in Disneyland and you go onto the ride Soarin', you'll go right over Neuschwanstein Castle. It's in the Soarin' ride. They've also, again, put 3 more on the list, all built under the same rule of Ludwig II. So Ludwig built Neuschwanstein, and also the 3 others, the Linderhof, Sachsen, and Herrenchiemsee, I know I'm saying it wrong, my apologies, all constructed under his rule. He used these 4 castles as personal retreats and imaginative escapes. Can you imagine spending all that money on building your own personal retreats? Come on. The castle pictured here in Neuschwanstein had modern innovations at the time, including flushing toilets, an internal telephone system, and central heating, according to the castle's website. Ludwig died in 1886, and that is when these castles were open to the public. And now they're treated really as museums and cultural landmarks. They have been trying for 2 decades to get these castles onto the UNESCO World Heritage Site. And finally, they say it's a fairy tale come true. So, the members of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee voted to add more than 24 sites during their July meeting in Paris. They've also included the granite megaliths in Brittany, France, and petroglyphs in South Korea to the sites as well. They have also included the Gola Rainforest National Park in Sierra Leone and the Taiwan Island Wildlife Sanctuary as well. They say these two locations together are a biodiversity hotspot, home to more than 1,000 plant species, 55 mammal species, 448 bird species. It's 4.5 miles, this island, Taiwan Island alone, home to 11 species of primates, including the endangered Diana monkey. So, a lot of new UNESCO things going on. Let's look at, speaking of species, this guy. This is a water monitor lizard. And somebody was keeping it as a pet, it would seem, and he got away. This water monitor lizard is on the loose in a Massachusetts town, the town of Webster. And now animal control officers are going all over the place looking for it. This water monitor lizard is a species native to Asia. It is not legal to keep this as a pet in the state of Massachusetts, but it's been seen in the Blueberry Lane area of Webster, Massachusetts. That'll make you do a double take. Like, what the hell is that? So officers have searched the area. They put out a drone to check neighborhood swimming pools. That's scary in the summer. You get in your pool, think everything's fine, and all of a sudden this guy comes up. This lizard is known to travel, climb trees, seek out water. They are not known to attack humans or dogs or cats. But if it feels threatened, one never knows. Right now, the animal control folks are working with a reptile specialist to try to make sure they can capture this creature safely. And they're asking anyone who sees it to immediately call it in so they can get this creature captured and taken to safety. Can you even imagine? Come on. People keeping animals like this as pets. That makes me angry. Here's one maybe you didn't see coming. Try to recycle these metal bottle caps. Well, remember, they've got plastic inside, right? And it turns out these metal bottle caps are a surprising source of microplastic contamination. The glass bottles had the highest levels of this substance compared with beer, water, wine, and soft drinks. It's from that plastic stuff inside the metal cap. The researchers compared microplastic levels in beer, water, wine, and soft drinks and found the substance in all samples, but liquid in glass jars showed the highest levels. The surprising source of the contamination, a polyester-based paint on the glass bottles and metal caps. They said the findings were really surprising. They did the study in France with a French agency for food, environmental and occupational health and safety, and the caps were suspected to be the main source of contamination, as the majority of the particles isolated in beverages were identical to the color of the caps and shared the same composition of the outer paint. So, we know microplastics are tiny bits of plastic, either intentionally added to consumer goods or that are products of larger plastics breaking down, probably more common. The substance has been found throughout the human body, a neurotoxin that can cross the placental and brain barriers and is linked to an increased risk of heart attack and cancer as well. Our diet is thought to be the main exposure route here. Testing in recent years consistently identifying microplastics in a range of food and beverages that we consume, and packaging is one source of contamination. And this is kind of weird. The researchers in this study checked beverages and water and glass and metal, and also brick bottles, and they found microplastics in every single one of them. But the levels in the glass bottles were the highest, 50 times higher than the plastic. Isn't that weird? The glass bottles used metal caps, while the plastic bottles came with plastic caps. The plastic caps didn't use the same kind of paint as the metal caps did. So they were led to the paint because of the microplastic fragments they found in the beverages, which seemed to match the color of that paint. I had no idea that they used the paint in the caps. Closer scrutiny revealing the microplastic matched material, color, and polymeric composition of the paint lining of the outside of the caps. So, it appears the bottle caps are stored post production with thousands of other caps in bags or boxes, and those scrape each other as they're jostled. Once the caps are sealed to the bottles, bits of plastic from the scratches end up in the beverage. The researchers were able to see the tiny scrapes and scratches when they looked at the caps under a microscope. They say this might be an easy one to solve. The microplastic, they say, can be removed from the caps by rinsing and blowing them dry at the end of the manufacturing process. It worked when they did it in the lab. Maybe it wouldn't work so well on an industrial scale, but they have hope for that. They also found microplastics that did not come from the paint, meaning the contamination occurred somewhere in the production process or maybe was in the water used in that product. So, uh, they say consumers could avoid metal bottle caps, but there's really little you can do at home about the contamination because the microplastics are already in the beverage. So, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't. You don't buy the plastic bottle, you buy the glass bottle, and then you're still screwed with the microplastics. Come on now. I'm going to the chat. Is it as frustrating to you? Yeah. Come on. Does recycling really do any good? One wonders. Come on. Yeah, it makes you want to not drink anything. Sounds like there's almost no avoiding microplastics, says Vanessa. True. It's frustrating and true. Mm. This poor lady, did you hear about this lady? She had her phone number printed on the shirt of a missing cat. The missing cat shirt. And unfortunately, there's her number, front and center. And she got called from one end of the day to the end of the night. The cat is non existent. Again, it's just a t shirt. It's a funny t shirt, but they put a real phone number on it. This woman's name is Natasha. She says she has received so many calls from people claiming to have found this cat, Torbo. She said she does not have a cat named Torbo. Her cat's name is Mauser, and Mauser is not missing. She said several times a day she'll get these really random phone calls, and people leave her all kinds of voicemails saying they found her cat and they want money for her cat. And she says, "My cat is home in the air conditioning. I don't need I don't need help." They were wondering what the hell is going on with all these phone calls, and then they realized that her number was printed on a t-shirt sold by this company, Wisdom, D-U-M-B, and the shirt features a missing cat poster and her phone number. A representative from Wisdom says they have pulled the shirt from their online store. That the use of a real number within the art created was not intentional. She says she doesn't want to change her phone number because it has a certain area code that's hard to get and she wants to keep it. She said she's had her number for 20 years and she doesn't want to change it, so she's just going to keep not answering her phone. But she would like, she says, a real apology from this company. She says, "I feel like I deserve a t-shirt after this. I think we both do," she and her husband, for all the phone calls. I agree. Really? Do you not check before you make a shirt like this what the number is? Or before you, even if the artist doesn't check, the people that are distributing the shirt should check. Please. There is yet another new cancer drug in the works. This one is being created by Korea's Hyundai. They are working on developing a new concept cancer treatment. And what it will do, supposedly, is to help other cancer drugs work more effectively and work better. It is intended, penetrium, to enhance the efficacy of traditional cancer treatments. The way they intend to do this is to target the supportive structure around cancer cells. It's called the tumor microenvironment. And it's this intricate network of elements that surround and sustain a tumor. The head of Hyundai ADM Bioresearch says the interplay between cancer cells and their nearby components promotes tumor growth and an invasion into healthy tissues, resulting into treatment resistance and poor clinical outcomes. But this drug they're working on, penetrium, adds to the tumor network by disrupting the cancer-friendly ecosystem, allowing conventional anti-cancer drugs to work more effectively and overcome resistance. It's an adjuvant for concurrent treatment. So it's a supplement for combination therapy with existing cancer drugs, not a substitute for them. They're going to start clinical studies with penetrium, and the medicine used in this is used to treat tapeworm infections. It's called niclosamide. They're first starting this on prostate cancer patients. Then they're going to look at pancreatic and triple negative breast cancers. And maybe it'll make cancer drugs more effective. And that's what you hope for, right? When someone you know or whomever is taking these drugs, that it attacks the cancer, attacks this tumor growth. And this drug could make that happen in a better fashion. So they say that preclinical results for penetrium have already shown encouraging outcomes. They're going to test patients with terminal stage cancer first because they say they typically have very few therapeutic options left. And in such cases, they say they could show the efficacy of penetrium early on. They're also hopeful that it could help prevent metastasis of cancer as well. So, yep. Want to make sure you knew about that going on in the world. And then there's this. Looks kind of like a raggedy old lightsaber. That's because it is. It is a raggedy old lightsaber. It's Darth Vader's lightsaber from the original Star Wars trilogy. And it is heading to auction for the first time ever. It's called an iconic prop. They think it will bring in as much as $3 million for Darth Vader's original lightsaber. The auction it's not the only thing up for auction in September when movie memorabilia will be placed on the block. But this can be seen in the final acts of the original trilogy's latter two films, The Empire Strikes Back from 1980 and The Return of the Jedi in 1983. It was held by David Prowse, who plays Darth Vader on screen, as opposed to James Earl Jones, who did the voice, and his stunt double, Bob Anderson, as well. The lightsaber, they think, also appears in The Empire Strikes Back, in which Darth Vader cuts off Luke Skywalker's hand. Sorry for destroying the story for you there. Right before revealing he is, in fact, his father. The auctioneers say surviving genuine lightsaber props from the original trilogy of films are exceedingly rare. So Prop Store is presenting this historic artifact at their September sale. It's being called a Grail level piece, worthy of the finest collections in the world. It's made from a British press camera flash handle, and converted into a lightsaber prop with the addition of dressing components and plastic grips, small electrical wires, and a circuit board with magnifying bubbles from a calculator. That's what they used to make it. In place of its red laser blade, created in the original films using a combination of rotoscoping and post production visual effects, the prop has an Allen bolt sticking up out of its top. The wooden blades were attached to this bolt during filming, allowing actors to complete the choreographed fighting scenes. So they put a piece of wood on the top, like a dowel. But this is the centerpiece of this auction coming September in Los Angeles. But before they auction it off, they're taking it on a tour through London, New York, and Beverly Hills in August. In addition to Darth Vader's original lightsaber, the the neuralizer from the Men in Black franchise, the helmet worn by Sauron in Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, the bullwhip and belt used by Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, also part of the tour and the sale, expected to fetch between $250,000 and $500,000. For Indiana's original bullwhip? Really? I would think it would go for more than that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. They also, by the way, have a clapperboard from the set of Jaws in 1975 up for auction as well. Before they start the filming, and they say, take one, they'll have that up for sale. A lot of really cool movie memorabilia up for sale for people that have extra, right? I could never imagine buying anything like this, but that'd be kind of cool. I mean, if you had a collection of things, maybe a little something to put on your wall. I don't know. There's the clapperboard from Jaws. Yeah, some good stuff. And then here's not that you don't know what it looks like. Here's the original bullwhip from Indiana Jones. This is for sale as well. I think it'll go for more than $500,000. I mean, if they're expecting $3 million for the lightsaber, I don't know. We'll see. The auction is in September. I'll come back with the totals. The lightsaber, the Jaws board, all these things. What do you think? How much is it going for? We're going to need a bigger boat. Mama says, I feel the people who created the prop should get a cut of the profits. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. Original parts retail $9.29. Wes says the grips on the bottom are windshield wipers cut. Oh, that's kind of cool knowledge. Yeah. The handle of a Graflex flash for an old 50s photo camera. Yeah. So interesting, Wes. I have a feeling if Wes had $100 million, he might go and bid on that. Maybe not. I could see that being something that would be in your collection, Wes. All right. Let's move on to the work week. A study has been done, you see, about the 4-day work week. And it shows that a 4-day work week actually would benefit workers and employers both. They say the most surprising finding of this study is that there really is no surprise. It's not good for our mindset, this 40-hour work week. And so they looked at switching to a 4-day work week. The study was published in the journal Nature Human Behavior on July 21st. That's today. They say the 5-day, 40-hour work week was actually pretty hard fought for by labor activists in the United States. It took a lot of organizing and union solidarity and physical sacrifice to get us to that spot. But there's a growing number of organizations that are now campaigning for a 4-day work week instead of a 5-day, including 4-day week global. They say a 3-day weekend provides even better conditions, not just for workers, but for businesses themselves. And now they're collecting scientific data to back all of that up. So, 4DWG, 4-day week global, that's 4DWG, that's the name of this organization. They recently tasked an international team of sociologists, and they found 140 companies across the United States, the UK, Canada, Australia, and Ireland to participate in a series of 6-month pilot program trials. And during that time, the employees would switch to a 4-day work week with no adjustments in pay or benefits. And the group, 4-day WG, offered each company assistance in setting up the new system. So, earlier this year, about 3,000 workers began clocking in for 32 instead of 40 hours a week. Here's what the initial data showed. For the first 2 trials involving nearly 33 companies, none of the companies said they were necessarily opposed to maintaining the 4-day week. They reported increases to workplace productivity and revenue growth. The employees cited less stress and feelings of burnout, and a general improvement to their physical and mental well-being. I could have told you that one, right? The most surprising finding so far, they say, is that there's no surprise. According to one of the researchers, a Boston College sociologist and the study's co-author, they say usually we'd get some hypothesis supported, others refuted, but for this project, everything we expect to moves in the anticipated direction. They also noted the reduced hours didn't require employees to work harder during their new 4-day week. At the same time, key organizational bottom lines were sustained. That maybe this 4-day work week could extinguish burnout. Seize the extra day. They say for a lot of people pre-COVID, this would have been some kind of pie in the sky, not feasible thing. But then the pandemic came and created such levels of stress and burnout, and it led many employees to say, I want to live my life differently. And it created more of a space for reimagining work. And as part of that, the 4-day work week. The researchers say it would be a real shame, a major loss, if people didn't seize the opportunity presented in the wake of the pandemic and demand this 4-day work week. And they say social change is always difficult, especially when it comes to challenging and deep-seated institutional logics dictating how, when, and where we work. But that we shouldn't waste the crisis of COVID in terms of the workplace innovations that it has allowed us. So, 4-day work week. It would seem to me, we've heard people complain like there just aren't enough hours in the day to get all the things done that I need to do. So I'm surprised that they said people didn't have to work harder, right? Because you would think there's no time for idle chit chat in the hall. There's no time for breaks. There's no time for really running out for a long lunch. There's none of that in the office setting because you're trying to now cram 5 days of work into 4 days. But that's not what they found at all. Mama says, I think everyone should have a weekday off to be able to do the things they can't do on the weekends. You need to go to the bank, the post office, doctor's appointments, all of these things. Exactly. Yvonne says, some days I was almost working 10-hour days. I was always working long at KGO. I was always putting more than 8 hours a day in. Vanessa said, I think it had to do with being there 3 to 8 hour periods in a day for shifts to go on 24-hour factories. Judy said, when I was working at AT&T, they considered switching to 410s at one point, but they never did it. I'll tell you, when early on, when I worked in an emergency room, we had, you could do 3 10s for 3 weeks and 4 10s for your fourth week, something like that. And so for much of it, you were able to put those 2 weeks back to back and then have a full week off. This is really good. Long hours, but I always operated under the thinking that if once I'm there, I'm there. It's the whole thinking about getting there, thinking about being there, making sure I get there on time, all the preparation that goes into getting there. But once I'm there, I'm there. Might as well work 10 instead of 8. I know a lot of people disagree. Liz says, how did they initially come up with 40 hours? I'm not sure. I'll look that one up. Yeah. 10 hours is doable. I think so too. Did I ever look and ask, did it matter? As far as what? I'm sorry. Did I ever look and ask, did it matter? I'm not sure what that is in reference to. I don't know. Judy said I often did work during my breaks and lunches, which was a no-no, but customers would be neglected if I didn't. I know it's wrong, but that's the way it was. 15 is a little much, I think. Yeah. I don't know. Working 10 hours. Oh, did I ever ask? I did work 10-hour shifts. I had no problem with it. I thought that it worked out well for me. I was glad to work 10-hour shifts. Did I ever look and ask, did it matter? I think that's normal in hospitals. 10-hour shifts are normal in hospitals, especially for people working overnights and other shifts. So I don't know. But that's the new study. I think, for some reason, there's going to be huge pushback on this. And people will be called lazy, that we don't really want to work. I don't know. I think it's a great idea. This is such a beautiful picture that I really have to show it to you. Look at this. Look at all those fireflies. Magical. There apparently are more fireflies this summer because the thinking is that it's wetter this summer, right? We've seen more rainstorms. We've seen lots of flooding as well. Several reasons why some places might be seeing more of these glowy firefly beetles this summer. The first is the wet weather. Again, several parts of the United States seeing decent amounts of rainfall this spring, and fireflies seek out moist soil to lay their eggs and take shelter and thrive in covered foliage. So if your region receives consistent moderate rainfall and then gets some warm, humid temperatures throughout summer, it's well equipped to foster firefly populations. But areas that are too cold or too dry or too exposed, those aren't good habitats for fireflies. Another reason we could be seeing a boom in fireflies this summer is the potential life cycle gap. Apparently, fireflies operate on a 2-year gap between generations, with adult fireflies living about 1 to 4 weeks, depending on the species and environmental conditions, which means there could be a fluctuating prevalence year after year, and this year might be a banner year in some places. So it could be that you live in a warm, wet part of the US with plenty of forest or field space for these creatures to thrive in. And if you're not seeing as many this year, they say that the life cycle might be the reason that the flashes may be less for you. Oh. The other reason has to do with more than 150 unique fireflies that live in the United States, and their ranges all vary from species to species. The East Coast seeing more than one type, or the common eastern firefly. So, I don't know. There are ways, though, to promote fireflies around you. We don't get them really where I live in the Bay Area in California, but the researchers say that overall, even if you're seeing more, fireflies are at risk of extinction. They are in trouble. It's unfortunate, they say, but it may simply be that the threats to fireflies, like habitat loss, light pollution, pesticide use, and climate change, are the reason for the decline in your area. But there are several things you can do. you can build a firefly habitat in your backyard. Yeah, I would love to do that. I mean, how beautiful. The firefly habitat can be as simple as leaving behind a small pile of leaves after fall cleanups, planting more native plants, allowing the grass to grow just a little taller. Not good in the fire area here in California, but for areas with fireflies that are moist and wet, maybe better. Uh, Responsible pest management options, reducing pesticide use, finding more environmentally friendly ways of controlling unwanted bugs like mosquitoes or ticks. Fireflies need dark skies to find their mates, so tackling light pollution is another solution to this as well. Did you know each firefly species has a unique pattern and rhythm? That's cool. But they say that light pollution can disorient fireflies and make it difficult for the males and the females to find each other. So, reducing lights around your yard as much as possible at night can help as well. Yeah, look at that. So pretty. Something we don't have here in California. I'm going to the chat. You have fireflies where you are? Oh, BA Ware says California is home to several species of fireflies. Whereabouts? Where can I go see the fireflies in California, BA Ware? Deidre says we used to make lanterns out of lightning bugs when I was a kid by adding cotton to a jar and putting those bugs inside. That's cool. I mean, not for the bugs, but for you. I remember being in Wisconsin when I was a little girl and seeing fireflies for the first time and just being mesmerized by it. Yeah, so good. Um, Vanessa says, I've only seen the fake fireflies at Disneyland on the Pirates of the Caribbean ride. We need to get you to some real fireflies. Wes says, I saw a few in Florida last summer, none this year. Growing up in New York, we had a lot of them. That's so cool. Sorry, lightning bugs. Yeah. B.A. Ware says you can see them at the San Francisco Botanical Garden or in the Santa Monica Mountains. May have firefly sightings, particularly during the warmer months. I did not know that. I didn't know that they were in San Francisco at the Botanical Garden. That's cool. Phineas says, I've only seen them in Kansas. Ricky says, I remember them in East Texas. Colleen says, I see them on the East Coast. Judy's never seen a firefly either. We need to go to a firefly place. Look at that picture. So cool. I remember seeing them flying around. And they're not flies, they're actually a species of beetle. Yeah. Eileen says Amy Mann has a song called Red Vines. The lyric goes, so you're running around the parking lot. Be aware. Phineas says those are UFOs. Those aren't fireflies. Yeah, I didn't know we had them in California either. But what a beautiful shot. I don't want to take this picture off the screen, but I do need to move on to the next story, which includes book scanning. At the beginning of all of this, scanning books to make sure that everything was available for us at our fingertip reach right on the internet, it was people going through scanning pages of books. Now they're using robots to scan book pages and manuscripts and rare manuscripts as well. This can happen fast. Robot scans rare library books at 2,500 pages per hour. Increasingly, digitizing manuscripts is getting hands off. The whole point of scanning these rare manuscripts is to keep delicate manuscripts from harm. And for a long time, it was thought the best way to do this was with human delicate touch. So they would put the book in a book cradle and photograph each individual page. But then they started using top down camera arrays. And even today, they say the whole process of digitizing books is tedious and it's time consuming. And so they have now these specially designed robots. After 2 years of research, archivists at the University of Tulsa's McFarland Library decided to try out this machine. They call it Treventus Scan Robot 2.0. They built it in Austria, and it autonomously scans and digitizes manuscripts. It might take a single librarian days or weeks to do this, but the Robot 2.0 can handle up to 2,500 per hour. And it's not sacrificing safety for speed. The setup relies on a unique toolkit to ensure that it digitizes a book quickly, but with the least amount of direct contact possible. It's fast. I mean, it's really fast. I have video in case you're interested to see what we're doing in the world to help save literature. Here it is. Let me take the picture away. And here is what it looks like. I'm gonna have to take that down. So this is the book they want. Here we go. Power it up. Put the book in the cradle. And there you go. Watch how fast this happens. And there it goes down, taking its picture of what it needs to do. That's pretty good quality. I notice you still need the people there to do this, but pretty good. So over and over again, it works, and it gets going pretty quickly. Fast and gentle scanning. Yep. Another way that we are advancing in our ability to do these things. All right. I thought that was interesting because I'm a book nerd. Okay. I have some caves for you guys. Ready? This time I was watching this show in Nova Scotia. It takes place in Nova Scotia. And so I thought we go to see some caves in Nova Scotia. And that includes some earthly caves and also some sea caves. This is Hide in Your Cave Monday. That's right. And I have to share my screen with you so I can show you what lies beneath in Nova Scotia. And here is what it looks like. Can you imagine walking down deep, deep, deep into the cave? Here it comes. There's some cool caves. So here, let me take this picture away. And here is what it looks like. There is somebody walking down. They say it's an underworld full of interesting and mysterious dark histories. You're looking here at the giant sinkhole in a forest leading to this cave near the Bay of Fundy. The dark chambers provide shelter and home for many species of often misunderstood animals, most notably the bat. And here is what they found in this giant sinkhole in Nova Scotia. Look at all those bats just waiting in the caves. They say that in the last decade or so, cave exploration has become really popular and draws tourists to certain countries to spelunk. Abandoned mine shafts, natural caverns, deep hollows, becoming a playground for adventure seekers. So here is one of the caves I found fascinating in Nova Scotia. This one is called Cape Breton. It looks like something out of a book that I've imagined, or a movie. So interesting. This again is a sea cave in Cape Breton in Nova Scotia. It's a cave system. Very, very interesting. It's hard to get to, apparently. But look at that opening. So interesting. They say there are other caves that you can get to in this area. It's a lot of hiking. It's straight uphill. Um, but yeah, there's some really, really interesting caves in Nova Scotia, but I think that one is my favorite near Cape Breton. I'm gonna look up a different picture of it. Yeah. Cape Breton Island. Stunning landscapes, historical wonders, local delights. Fascinating. And of course, the sea cave, which doesn't look like it's underwater, but it does look like perhaps the largest cave in Nova Scotia. And I think I have some video to show you of what it's like. And I don't know. So this makes it look like it's really big. But when I show you the video, it gets a little creepier. Kind of a little claustrophobic, I think. Look at that. I'm going to turn down the sound. There they are, climbing through these little passageways. You can see the top of the cave there as people try to squish through these little areas with water coming through, streams. The thinking is to follow the water. No thanks. There are some bigger areas, and you can see the opening up above of this cave. You have to climb straight up and out. For most of us, we'll never do this. We'll never be spelunking down in the caves. It's really interesting, though. And beautiful to look at parts of the world that we'll probably never get to see in real life. So I'm grateful for the people that go down there and do this. I just don't think I would be willing to. Look how tight that fit is. Really cool. Look at the formations. They're showing close-ups now of the little mini stalactites. I think that's what they're called, on the walls of the cave. And again, this is on Breton Island in Nova Scotia, in one of the largest caves in this area. Yeah. Sure is pretty and interesting, isn't it? Look at that. That's a little too tight for me, I'm telling you guys. Narrow but lengthy, they say. 40 to 50 foot high ceilings above. And they're walking along a very small stream, kind of following the water through this cave. It's kind of relaxing to watch other people do this. A little more stressful to do it myself. But here they go. They're going to keep going. I'm just going to skip ahead. You can see the cool parts and where they get to. The little waterfall inside the cave. That's pretty cool. Yep. I like it. You can see the water coming down the rocks. This cave goes on and on and on forever. Yeah. And on they go. And now they're descending even deeper. Ooh, I don't know. I don't know about that. And down they go into this hole. Yikes. Really interesting rock formations. The deeper they go, the more interesting it gets. Wow. It's cool down there. They're showing a map as they go through the the cave system, a map of how it looks and how to get to the different areas of the cave, with water pooling in different parts as they follow this stream throughout into these different caverns and cave rooms. And they're climbing in down into some pretty steep areas. And they keep finding new cave rooms as they go. Yeah. Anyway, that is Hide in Your Cave Monday. That was a pretty good dose of hiding in caves in Nova Scotia on Breton Island. Thank you for playing along with me as we look at these caves. Did they find gold? Journey to the center of the earth. That's kind of what it looked like, isn't it? I'm getting vertigo. No. Bats and water. You have to have snakes. Oh, God, no. No, Doug, no. Averting my eyes. As long as spiders don't jump on my head. Vanessa says, I think I'd get stuck at a few of those points. You and me both. Teacher Lori says that's what VR goggles are for. I know we've been to California caves as well, but if you have any suggestions for Hide in Your Cave Monday or tomorrow's Travel Tuesday or Waterfall Wednesday or Trivia Thursday, please email me. I love to get some party mail and hear what you have to say. It's kim@theafterparty.live. kim@theafterparty.live is where you can find me. And I have to tell you guys that Julia, my 15-year-old daughter, today got her driver's permit and now can be behind the wheel of a car with one of us, my husband and I, in the passenger seat. I suspect that this afternoon I will be in the passenger seat with my child driving for the very first time. We'll see how this goes. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow and I'll survive it. One never knows. Fingers crossed how this is going to go. Watch out is right. Absolutely. Yeah, horror face for Rev P. I know. I'll take video and see how it goes. No, I have to focus and concentrate and make sure that she doesn't harm herself or others. All right, you guys, have a very good rest of your Monday. Make it a really good one, and I'll see you back here tomorrow on YouTube. The Mark Thompson Show does involve a few guests, David K. Johnston among them, and also we have Jefferson Graham coming in, as well as Brittany Coleman will be on the show as well. So Brittany Coleman, David K. Johnston, Jefferson Graham, going to be a great Mark Thompson show around about 11 a.m. on tomorrow here on YouTube Pacific time. And then I'll see you right after for the After Party Live. And again, please go out and make it the very best day that you can. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you. Oh, that's a good idea. Not many people to hurt there, huh?
No. Well, I mean, I'm glad that you have a full-time job and that's great, but we'll miss you too. Sad. You want me to take her to the racetrack? Yeah, what Mindy said. Pop in from time to time when you can if you have a break.